Naturalist John Muir once said, "The snow is melting into music." And if you visit Yosemite National Park in the spring, that music is all around you.
Ephemeral means temporary, so it comes and goes, but it's usually just a springtime situation.
It would be hard to pick just one waterfall to focus on in the park, so Yosemite Conservation President Frank Dean suggested 5 waterfalls that any visitor could easily see on an ordinary day trip.
A little bit of a hike, but yes, it's a beautiful walk.
The first waterfall that almost every visitor will see is at the end of Wawona Tunnel. This is Bridal Veil Falls, a focal point for every picture, painting, and memory had by just about everyone who's visited the park.
The Miwok's name for Bridal Veil Fall is Pohono, which means puffing wind.
It's below the billowing mist that the Conservancy and the National Park are working to make access to Bridal Veil Falls even better. Construction of new utilities, bathrooms, and trails will make it easier for everyone to get an up-close view by the end of this year.
You know, one thing special about Bridal Veil, it kind of makes its own weather. Take a look, as that water comes down, it freezes, makes a nice little icy layer all over the rocks. At 2,425 feet, Yosemite Falls is not only the most iconic falls in the park here, it's also one of the tallest in the world. And it's actually made up of 3 different parts, the upper, the middle, and the lower. And during the winter, it sheds off giant ice particles that eventually flow down its creek and make its way into the Merced River.
Frazzle ice, yeah, really unusual. You can't see it very many places in the world, only places that have really tall waterfalls.
Although it's not required, it is easier to drive than park in front of many of the waterfalls, especially the hard-to-find ones, like Sentinel Falls.
All right, so the unique thing about Sentinel Falls, it's a seasonal waterfall, meaning you can only see it from about March to June. Now, it's located just west of Sentinel Rock, and the water flows down multiple cascades that range from about 50 feet to about 500.
Now in the wintertime, that fall, Sentinel Falls, will freeze over, and actually people will ice climb up that waterfall.
Ribbon Falls is another one of these seasonal falls in the park here, and it's pretty easy to spot because right next to it is El Capitan, a popular climbing route.
Seasonal or not, all waterfalls in Yosemite Valley end up here.
So these are the headwaters for the water, like this Merced River that flows down through the foothills into the Central Valley and eventually to San Francisco Bay.
One of my favorite views here at Yosemite National Park is right here on the Swinging Bridge picnic area. And that's because you get this great view of the Merced River, but right behind you here, you get a nice dead-on view of the upper Yosemite Falls.
Horsetail Falls brings in hundreds of photographers every year to catch a glimpse of what's called firefall.
Yeah, it's coming!
But there's a certain time of the year in February where the sunset is just at the right angle and it illuminates that waterfall into an orange.
The snowmelt puts on a spectacular show every year in Yosemite, but due to climate change, that show is becoming shorter and shorter. The 2 remaining ancient glaciers inside the park have almost completely melted. So if you want to see and hear the waterfalls, there's no better time than right now.
Chasing waterfalls in Yosemite National Park, I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the Backroads.